Hello, I'm Tom Dillon, and with me today is my co-host and business partner, Helen Leathers. Good morning, Helen. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you very
Good.
much.
Good.
Looking forward to another podcast.
Yes.
What are we going to be talking about today, Helen?
Today, I thought we would talk about a topic that often comes up in the coaching room: time management. And I was talking to your sister about this actually, just a few days ago.
I can't imagine she had much to say about it.
Well,
in terms of her ability to manage time.
no, it was interesting because I was saying that we were going to do a podcast, and she said, I know there's lots of tools out there for time management and things, but she said, I think the biggest tool for most, she was talking about busy women working from home, perhaps having children at home as well. She said the biggest tool for time management is some self-compassion.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah.
That's why she doesn't get a lot done. She's constantly going, nah, I'll be all right. I'll be kind to myself here.
No, but she has a plan. We can't do everything.
No,
right?
It's that Oliver Burkeman 10,000 weeks thing, isn't it? Like, there are only 10,000 weeks. You've used up a lot already. You've got very little time left. What are you going to do with it?
Yep.
And actually focusing on what is important and not...
Not everything is important.
Yeah. I'm in two minds about that. I think if we are talking about time management and effective time management, we can't just go, well, just be kind to yourself.
No, that's true. But I think in our conversation today, we'll realise that we also have some decisions to make.
Yes.
Good. And prioritising.
Yeah.
So.
And I think for our coaching doctors, it does come up a lot.
Yeah.
Not that they talk a lot about time management, but talk a lot about the pressures of time, of their job, of their families, of trying to juggle everything. And just that it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult.
Yes.
To find the time to do what they would like to do. So it's highly likely that you will have coachees come into the room that are struggling with having enough time to do all the things they would like to do and have maybe agreed to it to.
Yeah, perhaps without thinking about the amount of time it would take.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just feeling overwhelmed by everything they've got on their plate.
Yes.
And that could mean they want to spend some time thinking about how they spend their time and perhaps how they can fit it all in. So lots to think about.
I think the systems don't help, do they? So I think in a drive for efficiency, quite often people will double book appointments and things. Just when it's administrators, managers booking the appointments, they go, we'll double book them because people won't turn up.
Yeah.
And then everyone turns up and suddenly there's no time.
Yeah.
So I think the pressures of systems don't always help.
Absolutely. And if you've got someone who has a decision to make about a new job, a voluntary post, something like that, something they want to undertake, looking at how time and how much or little is available to them can be really useful as well. So there are a few scenarios where time management might come up. So I just thought it'd be useful for us to talk through some of the things we've learned from coaching people around this. Perhaps signpost people to tools and ideas of how to address it in the coaching room.
Yeah, and we're not obviously going to be able to cover everything or every scenario, but a bit of a taster of what people might consider.
Yes. So, people often say you can't manage time, or it's not time management, it's self-management. And I think that is very true. But it's often that people are agreeing to or trying to do too much for the amount of time they have. So sometimes the issue is around boundaries rather than managing the time. It's around being able to say no. Sometimes it's about your priorities, about knowing yourself and what's important to you.
Yeah, so values were... I was just thinking about time, because we have no control over time, do we?
No, it goes.
For us, in busy lives. Sort of really quite, I was just trying to think of then. So someone was talking about a friend they had in Africa who said, in the West you have all the clocks, and here we have all the time.
Oh.
Which is really nice. Yeah, just a slower pace to life and just finding time for things that are really important. Anyway, that's, by the by, nothing to do with it and not helpful to people who are in stressful environments where time is pressured. So yeah, but I think that work could be really useful within the discussion about how we manage ourselves in relationship to time.
Yeah, and the things that we want to do.
And I think what quite often comes up for people in the coaching room is avoidance. a bit of procrastination, fear, perfectionism. And we might be then looking to coach people around the drivers that they have. So this is a concept that comes from transactional analysis, but that suggestion that we all have things that are important to us that almost we don't feel we have control over. So that perfectionism, if we've got that, then that is going to eat into our time because we're going to spend time trying to make it perfect before we release it to the world, which is going to take up time, really.
Yeah.
So I think that's something, and people pleasing as well. So if we have that drive, that need to be on the right side of people, then I think again we're going to spend more of our time doing things for others that aren't necessarily our role, our brief, but we do it because we want people to like us. Have a need. So with both of them, with all the drivers, it's that. Am I worthy of love and belonging? Well, yes, as long as everything's perfect, as long as everyone likes me, whatever it is that is our driver, then we will go out of our way to fulfill that need to be liked or for things to be perfect. So understanding that, I think, is really helpful.
Yeah. And also understanding what motivates us, what energizes us, because we are much more likely to find time for those things than the things that drain us.
You would think.
You would hope.
But I don't think that's always true. I think I just signed up to an art class this year, which I can't go, it's full. But I'm good to sign up to an art class. Didn't find the time to make the appointment to talk to them. But I don't find the time to have art in my life. But I know that it's something that I enjoy doing and something that does energize me when I do it. But I haven't done it for years, which is why I thought, well, I'll go and do an art class just to create the time in my life for that thing that I'm not finding time to do.
But if you took that to the coaching space, after that coaching conversation, you may then be able to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's about the conversation that we have in the coaching space, to find those things that excite, that light up, that energize.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just making the point that even though we know things are energizing and fun and all of that stuff, and we recognize it, we're aware of it, but we still don't do it. It's like mindfulness, meditation, things like that. People say, oh, yes, mindfulness. I meditate. And then you go, well, how often do you meditate? Oh, I haven't done it for weeks. And again, it just slips out. Even though we know it's good for us, we know it will energize us, but we end up not doing it because other things. Time disappears.
Also, the other thing that needs to be considered in the coaching space when it comes to time and how we manage that space, we need to consider well-being and energy. So are we resting? Are we replenishing? How much energy do we have for those extra things? So that's something that needs to come into the conversation as well around time management.
Yes. And what time of the day that you have the energy for certain things.
Yes.
So for me, reading assignments for people on my course, that's good for me to do in the morning when I'm quite alert in the morning when I don't want to run around. I don't do these miracle mornings where I'm going to get up and run miles and have a cold plunge bath and stuff. So I don't do that, but I'm quite awake mentally. So that's a good time for me to be paying attention to someone's writing and to make sense of it and read it. Maybe 4:00 in the afternoon is not the best time for me to do that. That's a time when actually doing something physical is better for me because I get a boost from that.
Yeah.
So recognizing your own energy at different times of the day could be useful too. I mentioned in passing procrastination, but it might be a good idea to think about procrastination.
Yes.
And why we might be putting something off, and maybe using a lack of time as a reason for doing that. But it might be worth exploring what it is they're actually procrastinating about and why not so much the excuses as to why we're procrastinating, but what the actual reason for the procrastination is.
Absolutely. So as coaches, we're going to want to help to uncover these problems that lie beneath the surface. So you've got time management almost at the surface, and then all of these other things that we've just mentioned, how clear you are on your goals, for example, how motivated you are, why you're procrastinating. They're all kind of feeling like they're under the surface. And we might want to ask, what feels hardest about managing your time right now? Or what are you avoiding when things get busy? And exploring deeper. So there's some other topics that are going to come into play once we get beneath the surface of time management, I think.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to procrastination, obviously people do busy work, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
That isn't actually the work. So, they might have lots to do and feeling that sense of overwhelm. So aren't really doing anything productive, but will, clean the drawers out or colour code their binders and things like that. To be doing something, to feel as if they're doing something, but it's not actually productive. So actually that recognise, okay, what is it about this situation at the moment that's getting in the way of me doing what it is I know that I want to do?
Yeah.
So there are lots of things that might be getting in the way of us, kind of psychological, emotional barriers. But in terms of actual time management, self-management tools that might be useful, what's your go-to approach in the coaching room?
Firstly, I think I love a good reality check. It's one way of approaching time management that I've found can really bring some light bulb moments. So I've often coached individuals where they've perhaps wanted to add something to their work or their commitments, and they aren't sure whether to do it, whether it will fit in. So my go-to is the reality check. So let's say that you're considering a voluntary role and you're not sure whether you've got all the time and energy to do it. I might work through something like this, and I tend to draw out a bit of a timetable to fill in, or I get them to do it just roughly on a piece of paper. And I'll say, right, let's take an average week. You have your contracted work. How many hours a week are you contracted for? So let's imagine I'm asking you, how many hours a week are you contracted for?
30 for my job.
Okay, and what hours and days do they occupy?
Monday to Thursday, 9 to 5:30. Got my lunch break in there, but I tend to work through that.
Okay, so then I'll fill in the timetable, so I'll score out that time. And what other commitments do you have in the week?
Well, we have to get some exercise in, so tend to go for a swim 2 or 3 times a week, spend a bit longer there on a Friday because I'm not at work, so I go to the gym as well.
Okay, so let's put in the typical days that you go to the gym and go swimming, and we add that into the timetable. And what else do you do?
Sleep, meal prep, eating, school runs, time with family, things like checking on elderly parents, doing the shopping, all those sorts of things have to go in.
Okay, so we work through that. We can stop the role play now. Okay. And once we've completed the timetable for that typical week, I'll play that back and say, this is the time that we've got for each thing. What spare time? We'll highlight what spare time they have. And I might say, so you've got a Friday from 2 p.m. and a Saturday afternoon available at the moment. You said you wanted to keep Sunday free. So let's think about that voluntary role. What commitment are they looking for there? And at that point, that's when they'll say something like, oh, I've just realised that I don't have the time for this. I'm going to have to give something else up, or I just can't do this. Or they might say, well, I could just do 2 hours a month, every other Saturday. And we can check in with them. How would it feel if you committed to those 2 hours a month? Just a bit of an ecology check as well, because sometimes people don't realise that they need that downtime, that replenishment time. Sometimes people might trial it for a month or two and see how they go.
Yeah, I think people are over-optimistic when they take on new roles.
Yes.
In terms of how much time it's going to take. So I did a trustee role for a charity for a while, and, on the face of it, it was attending a board meeting or trustee meeting once a month, just a couple of hours of an evening. But then there's all this stuff kept coming out, all this admin stuff. I didn't have a job to do around it. It was just, okay, you've got to read this and you've got to read this report and I've got to have an opinion on this. And which, I suppose that's a bit naive in thinking about what it would entail. But there was a lot of work. There wasn't just 2 hours a month. So I think that's one element of it. So that being over-optimistic about, so when someone asks you to commit to something, is that actually pinning it down and go, yeah, but what's the reality? What am I actually going to be expected to do?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that people tend to overlook as well is how much time they waste and not consciously waste, because I'm happy for people to, sit under a tree and watch the birds sing. But in terms of maybe scrolling on social media. So I had someone in the coaching room recently who wanted to spend less time doing her admin because it was taking up far too much of her time. And but within that, I can't remember the numbers now, but let's say it was 20 hours a week of admin. 10 hours of those were spent scrolling on social media.
Oh.
So, okay, well, that's not admin, is it? That's you doing something completely different that you're trying to, but it wasn't factored into how much time was being spent. It was what admin is the problem, but it wasn't really.
Yeah. And that can be part of a reality check, can't it?
Yeah,
really dig down.
Yeah.
Not just how much time do I have in my week, but what is really demanded of me. And actually, what am I really doing with my time at the moment? Yeah,
I had someone once who reckoned she was working 70 hours a week. And I do accept some people do work 70 hours a week, but this lady really wasn't. So I got her to do a very involved time plan for the week of what she was doing. So some of the time that she said she was spent working was travelling to work.
Right.
So it wasn't. And then her lunch hour. She had a lunch hour. So she wasn't working, but she'd included it in her 70 hours. Yeah. So I think, again, drilling down into the reality of what someone is saying their time looks like can be really important.
Yeah. Because they'll either find that they haven't got the time to do the thing that they're considering, or they'll find that they've got pockets of time that they didn't realise they had and perhaps are filling with that busy work that you mentioned, or,
or wasting.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big problem with time management now is computers.
Yes.
Technology. It eats our time.
Yeah, it does.
And it eats our time very fast.
Yeah.
So we think we've spent 10 minutes scrolling and an hour's gone by. Which is fine if you're sat at an airport with nothing to do, but if you've got things to do, probably not a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
A very annoying lady at the airport last time I was there, coming back from Tenerife. She had a loudspeaker on her phone, but was just scrolling. So I'd get 3 seconds of some video she was watching, and then she'd scroll on to the next one. Really annoying.
So reality check is a really big step to take, I think, for a lot of people. That can be really enlightening.
Yes.
And help people.
Yeah, which is some work we can do as a coach, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not my favourite work to do as a coach. I like to have good conversations.
Yeah, but I think it's important, and it's often overlooked.
As we say, it is something they could go away and do.
Yeah.
Go away. I have a template for a week broken down into 15 minutes. So fill that in over the next week. Let's give you another job to do. So what else do you like to use when it comes to time management?
When someone's overwhelmed by everything, I really like the process of helping them to dump everything out on paper, from their mind onto paper, gets it out of their head. That's a really big step. And then using something like the Eisenhower matrix to prioritise, but I put a bit of a twist on it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you call it something different?
I don't think I call it anything. I just have a slightly different way of using it.
I've never referred to it as the Eisenhower matrix.
Haven't you?
No.
Oh.
What do I call it? Priority matrix, I think. Whatever. Tell us about it.
Well, we'll put it in the show notes so that people can see it. It's a really useful tool which people might want to use for themselves, might want to share with coachees.
Supposedly used by Dwight Eisenhower, the former president of the United States in the 50s.
I didn't know where that's where the name came from. I just know it as the Eisenhower matrix. So how it works, we divide a piece of paper in 4, one line across the middle horizontally, one line down the middle vertically. So you have 4 boxes. And then you have titles for both rows and both columns. So the left-hand column is headed urgent, the right-hand column is not urgent, the top row is important, and the bottom row is not important. So you end up with these 4 boxes, and they're boxes that you can then allocate all the items on your to-do list that you've just dumped on paper. So going through the boxes, box 1, top left, is important and urgent. So this is time-sensitive actions that you need to do soon. If you spend all your time in this box, you'll be probably feeling like you're firefighting all the time. But they're the important and urgent. And then we move across to top right, which is important, not urgent. And these are things like, in business, they're things like generating new clients, new work, or personally, it might be exercise, meal prep, anything that's important. They're important to you. This is the gold, the value, the purpose, the money, depending on the perspective or the role that you're in. And then bottom left, we have not important, not urgent. And these are things that typically interrupt you, like an urgent email from someone else, something that happens that's out of your control, other people's important stuff that you get drawn into.
So we've said that's the not important, not urgent.
Not important, but urgent.
Oh, but urgent. Okay, yeah.
Yes. So if you get drawn into this box, you're probably just running around after everyone else, and you're in a danger of staying there if you can't say, no, my things are more, up the priority list. And then the final box you've already touched on is the not important, not urgent. This is the distractions, the things that are busy work, the tidying of the email inbox, what did you call it? Colouring of the...
Colour coding your files.
Yes, that kind of thing. And I think we often stay there to preserve our energy, or because other work takes too much energy, or maybe we're not inspired by the other work that we want to do, perhaps. So we can stay there scrolling, but it's not getting everything done. And that firefighting box is still there, but probably other things are moving into it the longer we stay in box 4. And that's the order that you're supposed to do things in, 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I've got a twist on these.
Oh, okay.
This is my twist. So you can keep the labels if you want. But my twist is that we have top left is A, top right is B, bottom left is C, bottom right is D. And they stand for this. Box A, absolutely has to be done today. Box B, be bloody nice if it was done today. I was told this by an Australian, so that's why it sounds a little bit Australian. C is could do tomorrow. And D is ditch, delegate, delay, or diarise.
Okay.
So when you've got a lot on your plate that you think you've got to get it all done today, using those 4 labels just makes it a little bit different. You're pulling a face at me, like you don't like it.
Just in that sense that if something is important but not urgent, saying, well, it would be nice if it was done today, doesn't really get it done. So my way of thinking about that, so for the things that are both important and urgent, you just got to do them, haven't you? Just get it done today. That's that. But the things that are important but not urgent, we need to schedule. We need to put a place in our diary of when it needs. So it could be next week, but let's put it in the diary and then stick to that. So that's
another way of time managing, isn't it?
Yeah. Just have our things. Okay, this, and then so when something else that's urgent but not important comes up, they go, I can do that, but this today is the time that I've dedicated to doing this because this is important.
But I think if you've got a massive load of to-dos on your list for today,
yes,
there will be some things that it would be nice to get done today, but go in that box. So I think it depends. It's just another tool that could be useful. Yeah. But that's something, yes, I think you're absolutely right, where something is important, like exercise. It might not be exercise, that's probably not a good example, but having those time blocked in the diary can be really useful so you don't do something else instead. Yeah. So this is a separate model. I'm going to share both of these in the show notes, and I've used it and I find it really useful. I've shared it with some of my coachees, and they'll often take it home to prioritise everything. But where a coachee has been really overwhelmed in the coaching room and want to use that coaching space to get started, to get everything out of their heads and to start, where do I start? I have used it in the actual coaching space and said, okay, take a piece of paper, divide it in 4, A, B, C, D, and we've worked through it. And they've found that really useful. Once they've got everything in those boxes, then they can choose. They can number those things and choose the order that they want to do them in, starting with box A. Some people, if they actually haven't got anything in that box A, they might want to, take a bit of a rest, sit back and regroup, because that might then give them the energy to move on to box B. Yeah,
I can see how it'd be useful. And I think, as much as I like to sit and have conversations with people, sometimes people need to take some action in the moment and go, right, I'm going to map this out. To take some action now to get it sorted and out of my head, rather than sitting just talking about it and then having to leave you and go and spend more of their time planning. Sometimes it's just expedient to do it in the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I have sat with someone who said, I really need to do this, and I've been putting it off. And I said, how useful would it be to do it now? Yeah. It was a 2-minute job, and I just went silent and let them send an email.
Yeah, good.
So that's just, I find this a really useful, practical tool that sits at the surface, as I mentioned, of all the question around time and self-management. And I use it myself regularly.
Very good. Well done. Thank you. I've enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Hopefully it's useful.
Hopefully I shall go away and make far better use of my time.
Hopefully.
I shall stop my doom scrolling. I don't doom scroll. I don't do Instagram particularly, or Facebook, or...
What are we talking about next time on the podcast?
Next time on the podcast, we will be talking about the 4 discourses in coaching.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say no more. I shall be enigmatic about it all.
Okay, you do that.
Look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.